Okay, guys, welcome to the pre-jam show for November 8th. And today's a big one because today marks the point in the semester when we're getting into handling user interaction. Everything we've done up to now has been good. It's been about organizing and displaying stuff on screen and using data. This is actually the first time we're getting into handling user interaction. So the goal today is to make a new class, which we've called the View Listener, for handling that stuff, and to get familiar with events. So for today, we're going to be focusing on the events that JavaScript itself provides us, which is stuff coming from the DOM. This is going to lead up to the next lab where we're going to actually be implementing a custom event dispatcher, something that JavaScript doesn't have, but which I've built and works very, very well. So what we want to do today is get a good understanding of the way that events are used in communicating back and forth. So let's jump into the notes that I've prepared for you guys and take a look at what's new. Okay, so here we are. And I've got the prep November 8th, Lab 8 title. That's what I'll be sending to you guys. And as I've done previously, if you just do a little search over here for my initials, it'll take you right to the new areas that we're working on. So the first edition is going to be this pledge button. And if we look over here, there it is, hanging out right there, right here. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. And that's just going to set the stage basically for creating our event listeners and handling events from the DOM. There is one more thing in the HTML. If we take a little look again, right here, there's our pledge button. And right here, oh, look at that. Right here, we have our dialog box. So I've stripped this down, and it's very, very basic because I don't think we'll get as far as including the full form and radio buttons inside of here. But this is what is going to be used in order to simulate making pledges from a logged in user. So again, over in the CSS, quick note, right here, there's some CSS for our pledge button. Nothing too crazy there. I have removed the vendor prefixes in here because we're actually using auto prefixer turned on inside of CodePen, which I think is a very common practice, so we probably don't need that. And then the other thing right here is the CSS that we have for the dialog container. Again, pretty stripped down, and it just relates to the box and to the overlay. We're not looking for that box to be completely filled out at this time. So look for that stuff. And then one thing I'll point out that we haven't done before, this class right here is going to be a conditional class. We're going to be using the class list attribute to make that be attached or removed using the toggle function. And this is what's going to cause our overlay to appear or disappear. And just to make things a little bit nicer, we're using keyframes and a named animation to put a little bit of time around that opacity change that will happen when the form appears or disappears. So look for that. We haven't done that before, but that's a nice little trick for us to show. And right there in line 156 is that named animation that we're going to be using. So that leads us over to the JavaScript. And right in here, first thing we're going to do is add one more thing to the data class that will give us a simulation of a logged in user. We don't get into full authentication in semester 2. That's more like a semester 3 thing. So we're just kind of faking it here. And we're saying that Bob is the logged in user. So we're going to need that because if we continue on, then right down here, here's our new class called the View Listener. We're going to flesh this out quite a bit in the next class, but in this class, our goal is basically just to know who the logged in user is and be able to hide or show that dialog box that they're going to be using to pledge money. Just so you know where this is going, when they pledge that money, that's where we're going to be using our custom event dispatcher, because that is going to trigger a series of events that will cause the backer level to decide if that person has, gone up from silver to gold or through the levels of our pledges. That's what we're working for, and that'll be a really nice way of illustrating how an MVC pattern works. But for today, we're just going to get that hiding and showing, and I think that'll probably be enough. The way the class is going to go, after we get that pledge button in there, we're going to take a break, and we're going to just bring up a new pen and just mess around with some events a little bit. We'll do some mouse events, some keyboard events, maybe an unload event for the page itself, just to show how that works. Once people have gotten the idea of the way events work, that's when we're going to jump back in again and fill out the JavaScript of today's lesson. So that's about it, and hopefully it goes well. It's a fair amount to cover and some important new concepts, but I think we're in good shape.